Hi, this is Denise Mathew, and today I'm going to do a copper and bead necklace. I really like using copper, but a lot of times it's difficult to find chain. So what I decided to do was make a project where I could make everything out of wire. So I succeeded in making everything just from the wire, except for the beads and also the charm. Everything else is just regular wire. So it's nice to be able to create something that you don't have to get a bunch of findings for. I use an assortment of pearls that I had on hand. They're about 5 millimeters and they go right up to 10 millimeters. I've used a lot of different techniques in the video. So what I've done is I've separated them. So if you just want to look at how to make the scroll pendant, and if you wanted to skip forward and just find out how the looping chain is made, you can just go there too. So I'll have all the different timestamps so you can go wherever you like, or you can watch the whole video through. It's really up to you. So let's get started. Working with a 20 gauge wire, you could use an 18 or even a 16 if you prefer. It's your choice. I'm using about 5 inches of wire, and if you want to make your scroll bigger or smaller, you can adjust your wire accordingly. So the first thing you're going to do is just make a little tiny curl right on the very end there. And once you've made your curl, you can start to sort of curve your wire in, so you're going inward. And you can use your fingers, your pliers, or chain nose pliers, or whatever you want to use, just so you can start to curl that wire. So if you notice, I've already got a little bit of a curl there, and that's just the beginning of it. Now you can make it a little bit tighter if you prefer. It's your choice. You want to have it open or a little bit more tight. I like to use my chain nose pliers. Now if you do use these, sometimes they can mark your wire, so if that's the case, then you can just tape them. I'm going to continue to make the scroll, just making it a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to make it as big as I want. There's no hard and fast rule for how big it should be. And you can adjust as you go. Now that's the top that I've made, so now I'm going to start making the lower part. So I'm just using my finger just to curve the wire. Now if you want to, you can use your pliers to help you curve your wire, but I like to use my fingers because it gives me more flexibility. So I've got a bit of a curve on it now. I have a tendency to make my scrolls too small, so I always like to work with a little bit more wire, and then as I'm going I can trim back some. But if you wanted to measure it, you can always measure it ahead of time. You're going to take the leftover wire that you have, and you're just going to start to curl that in and make the other side of the scroll. So you're going to curl it towards the wire that you already have. And you can adjust it as you go. Now that I have a basic scroll design, I'm going to hammer that out. You don't have to hammer it out, but it will wire harden it and keep it in shape better, as well as giving it a nice textured appearance. So I'm just going to use the flat side of my hammer, then flip it around and just use the ball peen part so I can give it a little more texture. You can use this scroll design for a lot of different projects. So if you just wanted to make the scroll and use it in a different project, then you've already got it done. I'm working with about 1.5 foot of 24 gauge wire. You could use a 26 if you prefer. It's basically whatever wire fits your bead. Since I'm not going to use any head pins, I'm basically just making my own little head pin, and that's just a little bit of a curl on the end, and I'm just going to kind of squeeze that together and then string on my pearl. I'm going to just make a loop, but before I close it, I'm just going to slide it onto my scroll. So this is basically just a simple one pearl charm. And once it's on, all you need to do is close up that loop. You can trim it there, or you can take it down across the bead and right down to the bottom and wrap it around the little loop on the bottom. And then just trim it back and tuck in any stray wires. For the second one, I'm going to just make a little loop first, and a little bit more of a loop than just a half curl. Then just string on another pearl or bead, whatever you're using. Now you can leave that loop as is, or you can do like I do and just sort of turn it up so it's pressed up against the bead. For this charm, I'm just going to add another bead. Then just do an open loop like you did before, and then slide it onto the scroll right beside the other charm you've just put on. Then just close the loop. Then just go across the bead right to the center, wrap it around a few times, and then just trim it back and tuck in any wires. And for the third charm, you're just going to start with the same type of curl that you just did. String on another bead. Then I'm going to add a coin pearl. And then just do an open loop like you did before and slide it onto the scroll. And then you're just going to wrap it down. So I'm just going to wrap this a little bit different. I'm going to make it into a cap, and then I'm going to leave a little tail just to make a little curl in front of the pearl, just to dress it up a little bit and make it a different style. So you're just going to want to trim it probably about 3/4 of an inch to an inch so that you'll have that much to make your curl with. And just like you did with the scroll, you're just going to start to do a little loop and start to curl it in, and then just slowly start to curve it so that it will fit against the bead. For the last one, I'm just going to use one more pearl, and it's sort of an oval pearl, a little bit bigger, and I'm going to do pretty much the same thing as I did with the first bead. And that's it for the charms. I'm working with a 20 gauge wire, And I'm using my multi-level pliers, but you could use your regular pliers as well if you prefer. To make the loops consistent, just mark your pliers with a Sharpie so that you'll know exactly the right size every time you make a loop. I'm just going to make a loop, and I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch to wrap down so I can close the loop. Then you're just going to close that loop. Once again, this isn't essential, but if you want to, you can just hammer it and wire harden it as well, and it also gives it a nice texture. To finish the link, all you need to do is just do another smaller loop on the other side, and then trim the wire right where it meets the wraps. Now you're going to continue making more links just like this one, and then you attach them as you go, and you can make them as big or as small as you like. To attach them, all you need to do is open the smaller loop and then just close it up, and again continue on like this as much as you want. Now if you want to change it up, you can always add a bead. And all you're going to do is just do an open loop and just slide it onto the loop of the chain you just made. Then you're just going to close that loop and then add your bead. Then you're just going to make another loop and then add the next link in your chain. And then close it up. Alternately, you can just continue on with the pearls, one after the other, or the beads, one after the other, to make your chain longer and have bigger breaks between the links. Now I'm going to assemble the necklace. So if you notice, I've done some loop links. I've also added some pearls in between, and I've also made a string of just pearls on their own. So I've added one more pearl, and I've left the loop open, and then just added a love knot spacer bead. And I'm just going to close that link, and that's going to be where the scroll will hang. I've already made an identical side for the other side, so I'm going to add that the exact same way. So I have two sides, the exact length I want. When you're measuring for the length that you want for your necklace, you want to make sure that you take into consideration all the findings that you're going to use. I'm going to use an S-shaped closure, and I'm also going to use a link with a loop on it, and that can be what will connect to the S-shaped closure. So I've just added the link, and then I'm going to add the S-shaped closure on the other side. The last thing I need to do is just add my scroll and my charm, and the necklace is complete. I'm using an 8mm jump ring to attach the scroll right to the love knot in the center. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the charm. So that concludes this very long tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.